Hey guys, it's Alvin and Jess, and we are
The Most Potato. On today's episode, we'll be discussing Bridgerton, Season 1. There will be spoilers ahead, so if you haven't watched the series yet, save this episode and come back after watching.
Thanks for tuning in, and we hope you guys enjoy the show.
All right, guys, welcome to another episode of the Most Potato Podcast. We're back after a very, very highly undisputed champion during the intense rap beef that took place. There was a massacre that happened with one person named BBL Drizzy.
Oh my God. I'm waiting for you to get this out of your system. Like,
BBL Drizzy.
oh my God.
I can't get that song out of my head.
I need you to.
Oh my God,
It's getting
it's so
stuck
good.
in mine.
It's so good.
I
And it's just an AI thing too, and I hate AI generated shit. Yes, guys, we are back after a nice little break, and we wanted the hype to die down because I feel like that's all people could just focus on for like the last week. It was insane.
Yeah.
But it was fun entertainment, and hopefully people are fine because now there was like a stupid shooting involved that didn't need to happen. So we're hoping all parties are fine. We are here to talk about shows and movies again, so let's get on that. And we're going to be talking Bridgerton this episode.
Alvin's favorite new series.
Yeah, sure. No, I think it was my idea to do like a Bridgerton sort of series, right? Or was it your idea?
It was mine back when I heard season 3 was coming.
Yeah.
And then I was like, oh, we should totally do that. Or no, I think it was when season 2. When did season 2 drop? I think it was like in
I can't remember.
Christmassy time or something like that. Or maybe no, season 3 was supposed to drop last year, winter, like December.
Oh yeah, but I think the actor's strike and the writer's strike got
and
involved.
I said way back before that, I was like, we should do like an episode on that.
Yeah.
Like I would want to do that. So
Yeah.
we're gonna do an episode recapping season 1, and we will do a season 2 for you guys as well too.
In preparation for season 3.5 or 2.5.
No, why he keeps confusing Queen Charlotte as like a third season, and it's just like
that's not why I'm saying this. I'm saying this because Netflix is doing the stupid half drop for the third season.
Well, yes,
Split season 3. We'll do season 3 part 1.
Well, before that, you were acting like you were confused about.
I did used to confuse Queen Charlotte as a third season.
It's
Yes,
not a third.
It's a prequel season.
It's a, okay.
I've never heard of prequel season.
It's sure if that's how you want to
It's
live
a
your
prequel
life.
season.
Okay, I'm gonna punch you in your face. But any hoodle, yes, we're gonna be doing recaps of season 1 and 2. Season 3 is supposed to drop like in a week.
Yeah, like next week, like next Tuesday or Wednesday, they're already dropping that. It's coming quick.
And I'm really excited because I was talking hella shit about Bridgerton when it first came out.
I was too, and I still am, but I actually did mildly
I feel like
enjoy
you're
it.
more roasting than talking shit.
Yeah, I was roasting.
You're roasting now, but me, I was just like, this is stupid. Why is everyone like all
All these
obsessed
rich problems.
with freaking this Bridgerton? What's a Bridgerton? And I was like, let me sit down and watch it. And then I was just like, this is great. This is fun. I like this.
Yes. So for those who are uninitiated, though, I think everyone in the world.
It feels like it.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure everybody, even people that just do not care for the show, they know about it to some degree. They know it by force. So this series was created by Chris Van Dusen, which is based on the novels of the same name by Julia Quinn. And essentially the premise is that the story is set against the backdrop of London's Regency era, and Daphne Bridgerton and her close-knit, noble, and powerful family navigate high society in search of love, surrounded by friends and rivals alike. And the way that I kind of described it when I first heard of this show was just like, it's kind of like Gossip Girl in like 1800s London. Like if a Gossip Girl existed back there, because there's like this heavy presence of this gossiping person and nobody knows the identity, and it kind of pushes the plot forward.
Gossip Girl, another show that he loves. He
I
does
don't
not
love.
he does not acknowledge the remake at all.
I fucking hate the remake so
guys?
much. It's garbage. The original is way more interesting to watch. I don't like it.
I'm
but
smiling so hard, guys. I love when he loves my shows.
No, these shows, look, they they're written by like really talented people who know how to grab your attention with like human drama.
Yeah.
Like it's not that easy to pull people in with characters that just all they do is just talk and like interact and socialize.
Yeah.
That's actually very hard to pull off compared to like an action series or a mystery thriller or a horror or whatever.
And I love Gossip Girl. I can rewatch that. Like I have rewatched it.
Oh yes,
all the seasons back to back over and over.
I've witnessed it since the beginning of our relationship, guys.
I really don't know how many times I've rewatched Gossip Girl, and sometimes I just put it on in the background and I end up sitting there like it's the first time, quoting lines, knowing exactly what they're gonna say.
Yeah.
And then you just end up like, what's Dan Humphrey doing? Or
I did end up getting invested in some of the story.
Yeah.
I was like, why the fuck is Chuck Bass this way?
See, look at him. He knows who Chuck Bass is. How exciting!
I wanted him to be Batman in that world.
Okay. And then it turns that way.
He's very deranged.
But yeah, that's the same thing that happened with, this show. But
yeah, you've rewatched this nonstop to the point where I'm just like, you know what? I'm going to sit here and sit through all of this with you.
It's like you can literally binge in a day. Start in the morning.
So you can do that with Chernobyl too.
I'm not. Stop it. I can't.
I sat through 2 seasons of Bridgerton. You can get through one
no
season
one's
of
fucking
Chernobyl.
skin melted off from like nuclear fallout. Like I just
That's fine.
no. I can't. Like
Yeah, the
I know
body horror
it's
is bad.
good. It's a good show.
Yeah.
I've heard a lot of good things about it, but I think just it makes my skin crawl.
It's
I
very
can't.
fucking bleak.
Yeah.
It is a very bleak show.
That's
so.
the only reason why I'm avoiding it, because I just I know I can't handle.
You won't watch Chernobyl. You won't play Resident Evil with me. It's like, come on.
Well,
meet in the middle.
I never really play the games that you play. I like to watch them, and I feel like I did play them, like Last of Rest of Us, and the God of Boy, and all that stuff. I love watching you play your
God of
games.
Boy.
Yeah, I love watching those. That's how I play those games. Yes.
Fair enough. So yeah, we sat down and recently rewatched season 1, and let's just go over our general thoughts real quick on the season. Obviously you'll tell me that you like it because you've already kind of gushed about it. But
I don't like it. I
don't
love
like
it. It's like
you're an ass.
No, I really do. I enjoy it. I actually enjoy season 1 so much to the point that I bought Julia Quinn's book and I read the first one. Which I was like, for me, reading the book, I was like, okay, the book was not needed, but obviously it was the blueprint for the show.
Yeah, that's what came before.
It came before that, but I was like,
it's always fun to read the original stuff. That's what I did with the Jurassic Park books.
Yes, and the adaptation, Bridgerton, is just like it's way more interesting. They did such a good job, and I'm kind of glad that I did read the book. We're not gonna get into the book because honestly, that shit was dry. But I mean, some parts weren't dry. But some
might say they might be wet.
But the show is so they did a good job, just really making it as I want to say current as possible.
Kind of technically, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, because this is like a whole alternate historical fiction.
Yeah,
because there's black people in royal houses, which does not exist in history.
They bring in all races in the show, so it's just it's really, really good. And like I said, reading the book was dry. I'm like, Simon is a white man in the book. I'm just like, how boring is that? But I really love that reading the book made me love the show even more because I appreciate what they did, how they adapted the book. And I think that's a big thing about, when people adapt books into movies, they just sometimes it's did you even fucking try? Did you have an imagination? Like
World War Z, where it just was nothing like the book.
Yeah, so I'm just it's an adaptation. Make it your own or make it something more. Yeah. And I feel as plain as a love story, I'm not calling Julia a basic, but we've had, you've had love stories like this before written. I've read so many growing up, and I just like to see a movie, a show, when you adapt it, it's even better. Yeah. That's I feel that's what
those are the best adaptations.
Yes. I know we're not talking about season 2. I am reading the second book, and that one that's hella dry. But that one's
they're consistent at least.
Yeah. But it's even drier. And I'm and I did enjoy season 2, not as much as season 1, but yeah. I really like what they did adapting the books into these shows that everyone's like just going
Obsessed
crazy
over.
over. Yeah.
Yeah. Nice. All right, cool. I'm glad that you love it. I actually quite enjoyed the show too. I don't enjoy it as much as you did. Just because I found myself still roasting a lot of moments and scenes, and there was like moments where I was just like, damn, this is so fucking ridiculous. This could be solved in a simple ass conversation, and it just won't fucking do it. But then you wouldn't have a show.
Exactly.
It's like one of those back and forth tennis games that my brain does.
Mm-hmm.
But no, I enjoyed it. I am a sucker for mess, and this show has plenty of fucking mess.
Yeah.
I really enjoy that there's actually character growth, character developments from like the characters that you see at the beginning. They are different at the end of the series.
Mm-hmm.
And I like that there's still continuation of some of the characters as well as you move into like season 2. And then once we see season 3 as well. Yeah, because when you were first rewatching the show, like many times, I always found myself paying attention to like the scenes that you were watching, kind of like how you pay attention to some of the stuff that I watch, and then you end up sitting with me, like what we did with Scenes from a Marriage.
Yes.
Like you ended up getting hooked on that show. That happened for me too.
That's already the fight.
Yeah. So I think I enjoyed it for the most part. I think my main problem that we could probably talk about for a little bit later on is probably like the sort of race dynamics that happen or don't happen in the series. It's like it feels like the world is trying to move into a colorblind sort of reality, but I feel like sometimes there are moments and hints of racism that just feel like I feel like man, that should have been addressed by that character.
Yeah.
But we'll get into that later. But I think that was probably like one of my main issues is like I don't know how believable it was for me to like see a colorblind 1800s London, knowing, especially when you mentioned like the prequel series, how that kind of helped unify like black people and then other races with like the white upper class people.
Yeah.
Because there was racism before in this world. It's just now it's like fully just kind of vaporized in season 1, basically.
I forget what they called it the Great Experiment in Queen Charlotte.
that sounds kind of gross when they say it like that.
I don't know if anybody else watched Queen Charlotte, called. But yeah, so clearly it's like the Great Experiment, and that's
let's be less racist. The Great Experiment.
Yeah, and then that was super. Like you could see the racism because King George's mother was super racist. Like at one point she tried to wipe the color off of Queen Charlotte's face.
And she wasn't even dark skinned either.
Yeah, I know, right?
She's like, she's pretty pale.
Yeah, so there are like, some hints of that, I feel like, in season 1. And it's mentioned too with Lady Danbury when she's talking
like
to, Simon in the show. I think she says something along the lines of like, when the king fell in love with one of us. And like, so it's just like, it's clear that it's like, it's there. But like you said, it's like they kind of try to like wash over it and like make it seem like everybody's not racist anymore because the king
married a
black woman, so no more racism. And it's just like I don't know if I see it so much. I don't feel like they wrote it so much to be like that. I know like when you're like, oh, look at that, that's racist, and I'm just like, nah, this is bitches being bitches and catty and stuff. So but like I guess you could read some of it like that sometimes, but I think I'm just like so invested in like the rest of the story that I don't know if the characters are actually being racist. It's hard to tell. Yeah.
I feel like I have an easier time just being like, that was racist. That was racist. That was racist. It could just be me. Maybe I'm oversensitive, but I feel like there's just like interactions that really feel racially motivated, even if it's not explicitly said.
Yeah.
It just looks too familiar to what I've experienced or what I've seen with other people, especially with people of darker complexion. I'm just like, damn, they're not saying that this is a racist moment in this show, but I could point to 10 different like scenarios in the real world where I'm just like, oh, that was clearly racially motivated.
Yes.
And they look the exact same.
Yeah.
But I think that makes the world building still interesting is that it looks like the world is for the most part being colorblind, but there's still moments where that racism leaks out. And I guess I would appreciate that aspect of the show is that there's still moments like that. I feel like it would be too hard to buy into just like nobody ever being subliminally racist ever.
Yeah.
Especially since this experiment is such a recent thing. It's only been like a couple decades.
Yeah, it's really recent.
Yeah. So you can't just get rid of racism just like that.
In Bridgerton, you can. So.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think it's very interesting that with this world building that Queen Charlotte is a black woman in power. because I don't think they don't get too deeply in season 1, but the king is essentially out of commission because of a mental illness.
Yeah.
That just puts him out of commission.
And they hide that from her. They're just like, we want you to marry the king.
Yeah.
And she's like, why? He can have anybody he wants. Well, you should appreciate it. You're, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and it's interesting how society works in this show, because the queen is really just the end all be all basically when it comes to like opinions and like kind of like which powerful houses should be joining with each other, because she makes like direct influences on who should be getting married to who.
Yeah.
And in season 1 we focus on it's the season of like, I don't want to say mating, but it's like I feel like I'm talking about animals. There's a courtship season going on.
Yes.
So the queen is looking to marry off a fresh new bride and groom. I believe she refers to the women that she chooses as the diamond of the season.
Yes.
So basically she's trying to influence marriages to happen that would be beneficial for all of society to keep running, basically. Mm-hmm. So this is all rich, powerful people looking to, marry and get their freak on and
it's more about
and expand their lineage.
Yes. I mean the girls that they're putting out into society, they're debuting them into society. They're debutantes and they're hella young.
Hella.
Well, at least Daphne, I think she's supposed to be like 19 or something. But
I was gonna ask, what
she's
is
like,
it typically teenagers that Queen Charlotte wants to start?
Well, it's not about what Queen Charlotte. I guess that's just like you have to think in this time. And as
during that time, it was always teenagers typically.
Well, yeah, but it's just like a whole girl's purpose. Having a girl, you have to marry off your daughters. Yeah. Marry them off, dowries,
the sooner
all that
the better.
Shit. Yeah. So that's like what it is.
Yeah.
And yes, the queen makes the decisions, or she, it's like she's playing chess. She's moving her pieces around. Yeah. And it's like she's kind of playing chess with Lady Whistledown. There's only like 2 players in chess, but whatever other game that has more than 2 players where you have to move your pieces around for certain outcomes. And sometimes it's like, yes, she's a queen, and this is all society like cares about, like who's married to who has what power, what titles.
But
all
ultimately,
that sort of
it's up to the person to decide.
It
anyways.
is up to the person to decide. But will you be shunned by society and the queen and blah 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 blah?
Yeah.
So so that's
peer
like
pressure.
that's like how it is. So like the girls have to be married off. She picks a diamond of the season that happens to be Daphne. Daphne Bridgerton. For this season. But yeah, some of them as young as like 15 or 16 could be put out into society to find a husband. Yeah. And they do that in the show too. I think like Eloise is probably like a couple years younger than Daphne, and Penelope and Eloise are best friends. So they're like close to the same age. Mm-hmm. And so like the longer you're out in society at these like balls and stuff, like you're at risk for being like a spinster.
The more devalued you are.
Yeah. It's like, it's so crazy. So that's like, I guess that's like the whole premise of like what's going on, and then a love match. The Viscountess Violet Bridgerton, that's the mother of 8 kids, basically. And their tradition of naming their kids alphabetically. So you have Anthony, who is the current Viscount. He's the oldest. Yeah. Benedict, Colin, Daphne, Eloise, Francesca, Gregory, and Hyacinth. That's a stupid name.
I was like, is she from like a young adult fantasy novel?
Yeah.
Hyacinth.
I don't know. Aren't those all like some type of flower names? I thought
I don't know.
I don't know if like Eloise is I don't know.
I don't think so.
I don't know. I thought they were like supposed to be named after flowers.
It's hard enough for me to keep track of alphabetically named kids after every generation. That's just too much.
Well, that's why they did it to make it easier.
I guess.
But yeah, so she wants her daughter, or she wants all her kids, Violet Bridgerton, to have a love match. Yeah. She doesn't want it to just be duty to be married off to like,
which I at least appreciate from the mom.
Yeah, because she said her marriage was a love match as well too.
And there's mad people in this show that just got married out of duty and just desperation too.
Exactly.
To survive.
So she wants Daphne to do the same thing and find a love match now that she's going to be out into society, now that she's the diamond. But Anthony, her oldest brother, who is in charge of the whole family now that, the dad, Edmund, passed away, he's just getting in the way.
He is so overzealous about finding the right match for this girl to the point where he just fucking wipes out all of her options.
Yes.
This man is insane. Let me go on an Anthony rant real quick because this man got me tight as hell. I cannot say. First of all, he looks like a fucking werewolf.
Yes.
He looks like the werewolf, like the American Werewolf in London from the 70s movie, where he's just like hair all over the place, just disheveled. And he's got like this intense, ravenous look in his eyes. And he's just like constantly horny, which I get it. You're a young man, but you're over here sleeping with prostitutes and shit. Like you could easily get caught. And you over here sexing women out in public in front of a tree with your security guy. Like,
that's why he's
there.
called a rake. Yes.
Him and Simon are raked. I like that name,
Yes.
rake. It was like, yeah, you're not a man whore, you're a rake.
Yes, you're a rake.
That sounds dirty as hell. Just the R and the K combination.
Yes.
It really hits hard.
That's really what he does. I think it's so. I mean, obviously, in that time, it's not hypocritical because
Men can do that if
men
they want.
can do that. They can run around, which is what
As long as they
Simon
get married.
do. Yeah, eventually they get married, but even then, when they're married, they still do it and stuff. But he's allowed to go out and have all kinds of women
promiscuity.
And do that. But he really gets in the way.
Because I respect his wanting to be like a dutiful son, because this ties back to the loss of his father and how he's like the new head of the household because he's the oldest male. So he wants to make sure that his family and his house are in order with the marriage. But this dude just goes so like off. Like he's overprotective of Daphne. That's essentially what it comes down to.
Yeah.
And that's why he's always getting in the way of her options that she's interested in, but he's always scaring off different male suitors to the point where he fucking decides to set up this old crusty ass, like this dude that looks like he got the suds. What's his
Nigel
name?
Burbrook.
Yes. This old man who's like in his 40s probably.
He's so gross.
If I'm guessing. He wants Daphne to marry this crusty old man that she wants nothing to do with, especially the fact that he's been low-key preying on her since she was like 12?
Like
11?
no, younger, like 5.
That yes.
There was like
there
I
was
forget
scene.
what it. He was just like, oh, I've always, since the day I met you, had my eye on you. She's like, when I was all of 5, and then I was just
I was like, no drizzy. Oh, God.
Okay, we're just, yeah.
Yeah, and I was just like, really, Anthony? Really? This is this man, the one that he's old enough to be your dad.
Yeah.
It's just like, what the fuck is wrong with you? I hate this man so much, and then I hate him more in season 2, so I'll save that rant for season 2.
Yes.
But in season 1, he was insufferable.
Mm-hmm.
But it's because of his overprotectiveness that the plot moves forward with Daphne and Simon.
Oh, yes.
Because then here comes Simon with
Another
his
rake. with his rake.
Yes, with his rake best friend. He comes into town. I forget why he comes into town. He's taking care of some sort of business.
Well, his dad died.
Yeah.
And
he's the Duke of
Hastings.
Hastings. So he comes from royalty. He has money, and he's the head of his own household because there's nobody else, right?
There's
he has no siblings.
Else. Yeah, he does not have any siblings. Yeah. Simon's background story is that his dad always wanted a boy.
Yeah.
His dad was a piece of shit.
Very abusive.
Just very abusive. Didn't acknowledge Simon at all. Simon's mother died giving birth to him.
Mm-hmm.
The dad could give two shits. And Simon grew up with a stutter.
Yeah.
He had a stammer in his speech, and his dad basically called him an idiot
and disowned
him. So
little
that
did he know, he made a comeback.
Yeah, basically, Lady Danbury was friends with Simon's mother, and she, thought the boy was like dead or something like that. She finds him. She's like, I didn't know you were here alive and well. So she sees how Simon's dad is treating him, and she takes him under her wings and
she's an auntie.
Raises him. Yeah, basically she's like an aunt. And she helped him, with his stammer, his speech, best schools, writing, whatever it is that white men did during those days. Simon. But yeah, and so he comes back to London because he's like, yay, his dad's dead.
Yay.
So that's why he's back. to take over the title because he goes as Simon Bassett, and now he's like the new Duke of Hastings. And everyone knows of him.
Yes,
except for Daphne.
And everyone's trying to marry off their daughters to him, and he's trying to get away from that. He's like, I do not want to marry.
Yes.
I do not want to father children
because of my dad. So
I need to be spiteful against my dad and not give him heirs.
Yes, and I'm just like, because that was what he said to his dad when on his dad's deathbed or something like that, or.
That was a cold ass scene. I was like,
he was just like
so spiteful.
He's like, the bloodline ends with me.
Yeah,
and
I'll
then his
never
dad's just
sire
like
an
gasping
heir.
for breath, and I was just like, yeah, that's right, fuck you. And
And no, he told him, speak.
oh yeah, I was like, damn. But his dad really did suck. It was.
Yeah, I had no remorse.
None whatsoever. Yeah, like even in the book they did a little differently where they were just like, oh yeah, he wrote him letters all this time, but the letters that Simon's dad wrote to him, they were just like letters, like journals about like the land that he owned and like how things
Not
were
even
going.
checking on him.
Not even saying sorry. That's like
Yeah.
not even to check on him, but to say sorry. I thought that's what the letters were gonna say. And it's like really funny. So in the show, Simon writes letters to his dad the whole time where he disowns him. He's just like,
And none of them are open.
he's like, I'm doing well, blah, 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 but he never opened them. And I was just like, wow, what a piece of shit.
Yeah. So now this is where like the main plot takes off, where Simon, the man who does not want to marry, meets Daphne, who desperately wants to marry someone that she will love.
Yes.
They come together and make a deal. They're just like, if we pretend to be dating each other, we could help each other out. Daphne can get more suitors back because people will be like envious of seeing this woman with this very powerful light-skinned black man.
Okay. People seeing a duke interested in her will draw other suitors. That's what he means to say.
And then that way, while they're pretending to court each other, all the women will back off from trying to get at Simon.
Yes.
So this is a temporary agreement until they both can go their separate ways and go about their business. So, and then obviously, you know, they start off. Actually, they actually start off with a really cool friendship. They genuinely get along.
Yeah.
And I love that they start with a friendship because that became like a baseline foundation for when they actually start falling for each other. And then that's when the plot really starts to like get going, is when you start seeing each of them really like being attracted to each other. It starts with little glances at each other here and there. Then it starts with like them
Simon
being
licking that spoon at the
at the fucking ice cream parlor or whatever the fuck that was. That was wild. Yeah, and then you see Daphne just being like she just like her face might as well just said, I'm wet.
yeah.
So like, but they do it well. It's like they frame and they write these scenes very well to make it look like they're genuinely liking each other. It's very hard for me to buy into romances for a lot of movies and shows.
Yeah.
Because it just feels forced most of the time. It's just like, oh, the script said they be together.
Exactly.
But they start off being friends. They have fun and they joke with each other about the interactions that they have with other people while they're pretending to date.
Yeah. I mean, from the start, when how that whole thing started off is when Nigel was like basically trying to like assault Daphne in one of the gardens, and she punches him, and Simon overhears what goes on. He like rushes to rescue her, and then he's like, oh, damn. I came to rescue you. I guess not, because she already punched him out cold. But that's when they do the whole like, let's pretend to be courting each other, yada yada yada. And from there, like Simon finds like amusement, like he finds her amusing, and you know, and she's just like, you know what, let's do this because like Anthony's a bitch and he's getting in my way, and I'm just trying
Your
to get
best friend's getting in my way.
Yeah. So like that's how like that whole thing starts, and yes, they do start off as friends. And I liked seeing that a lot. It felt genuine. Really nice. It was very genuine. To the point when, you know, when they have to get married, he does that whole speech where he's just like, oh yeah, I found like my best friend, and she's also the woman that I love. And I was just like, oh my God, Simon, stop it, I'm gonna cry.
That was a good speech.
That was a good speech, and I loved Daphne's her facial reaction to that.
She's like, what?
She's like, what? She's like, I was just gonna say like we in love or
you
something.
You burn for me.
You busted out laughing when he said that. I was just like,
when one burns for someone.
Oh my God! Look at him, guys. He's quoting.
That shit had me dying. I'm like, this man is passionate.
Yes, he's so passionate. He's burning.
Oh my God.
He might want to get that checked.
He was.
But, no. So I really do like that. It's like friendship turned into like, you know.
Yeah,
actual
romance.
romance that, you know, they really like each other. But then obviously Simon and his issues, and
he's got to be a man and fuck things up.
It's ridiculous. It really is. I mean, he tells her that he can't have kids.
Yeah.
But not that he won't have kids. He says, I can't have kids.
Two different things.
The whole thing that always just, I can't like stop being like, wow, is just like, none of these women know anything about sex.
No.
Like, totally in the dark.
Because
society.
They withhold information.
Not even just family, society as a whole. And it's just like not proper. Because there's a couple times where Simon says something to Daphne where she's just like not understanding, and I'm just like,
what?
Yeah. And then at one point he tells her, he's like, when you're alone you can touch yourself. And then she just looks like so confused, and she does it, and then she's just like, okay. And then I mean, as things escalate like with the story, and they're like, oh, we have to marry each other, or she's like, you have to marry me because someone saw us in the gardens, like, you know, sucking face.
Yes.
It's just like, she really just doesn't know anything about that. And I know, like, we haven't really touched on the Featheringtons. This is another family that lives, like, near the Bridgertons, like, across the road from them or
they're
something
like
that.
friends / almost not friends.
Yeah, it's so funny.
They're turning into frenemies.
The Featheringtons consist of Lady Featherington, Portia Featherington, that's her name, and then her 3 daughters, Penelope. I'm gonna forget
one
their
medium
name.
ugly, and then the one real ugly.
That's so rude.
Okay, no, there's not a medium ugly. She's actually kind of cute, but she's like annoying.
What are all their names? I really forget what their names are.
I don't remember, but it doesn't matter.
Yes. So Penelope and her 2 other sisters, and then the dad who's a gambler,
Yes,
Lord
Archibald.
Featherington. Oh, you remember his name?
I wrote it in the notes because he was a problem.
Yeah. So you know, they have a cousin who comes. You know, Marina. No one knows that Marina is in fact pregnant. And it's funny because once Lady Feathering finds out about it, she like kind of locks her in her room and makes sure she stays away from her daughters and other girls. She's like, you'll catch her
pregnancy,
basically. But they don't know that she's pregnant, or they don't know how she became pregnant. They don't know that. And it's just like really funny because like even then, Marina, that's their cousin, she doesn't say like, yeah, I had sex.
Yeah.
Not even if she did say that, they probably wouldn't even know what that meant either.
Yeah.
But she never says it. And I just thought it was so interesting how, like, even with her case in the house so close to people, she doesn't say it. Yeah. So, like, Daphne not knowing anything about it either was just like, wow, they really don't tell girls anything about this. And then they marry them off to these guys who have just been raking all up and down of London and all around the world. And I'm just like, that is just so, I can't wrap my head around that concept.
Yeah, that's something that really grossed me out about the show. And and I guess it's something that's kind of being interrogated because the Eloise character is somebody who challenges and questions all of that stuff, essentially. And she's actually a very interesting character in this series because she's the younger sister of Daphne, and she's essentially like an early like white feminist who there's no labels back then, but she would essentially be like a white feminist, and she's obsessed with like literature. She loves to write. She loves to like question reality. She's not interested in marriage at all. She wants to be able to do the same things that men do. She wants to be able to just pursue hobbies and do whatever. She fucking smokes like cigarettes, like low key, like but also not low key. It's like out in the open on her backyard, and only her brother Benedict knows about it. I love
Benedict. He's my favorite.
Yeah, he's cool, and their relationship is very interesting because they're both kind of like from the same cloth, where he's out doing whatever he wants to do.
Yeah, because he's the second eldest brother.
Yes, so he doesn't have to worry about marrying into any family yet. That's Anthony's job. And Eloise is looking at someone who she loves and admires, but is also envious because she's like, I want to live the life that you do. Why is it that women can't have these same opportunities and freedoms? Why are we always just gussied up and just prepped for marriage for some strange man that I don't know?
Yeah.
So
she's like the only one that seems to like really question it. I feel like other women do, but they kind of just accept it.
Yeah.
Like I remember
they're just like, what are we gonna do about it?
Exactly. Like there was like they were at some ball or whatever, get together, and she was sitting at a table with a bunch of other girls, and then they were just like, I always do what my mom says. I don't question it. She's just like, and Eloise is just like, what do you mean you don't question it? Don't you like feel any type of way. She's like, well, they're like, oh, well, our moms know best or something like that. And she's just like, the fuck is, she's like, I need to go. Like, I
like that those black women saying that too. It's just like, we got to listen to our moms. We'll beat her fucking ass.
Yeah. So she's like the only one that like really questions it. And it's funny too, especially seeing like Penelope, as we all know, spoiler, Penelope's Lady Whistledown, Eloise's best friend. The gossip girl. Yes. It's funny because she writes this piece, like, this paper where she questions it too, but she pretends not to. Mm-hmm. And she also like is kind of like Daphne, where she's in love. She wants a love match. She wants someone, but she's also just like, I feel like she's like Daphne and Eloise mixed together with the spice of like...
She kind of operates outside the rules of society by writing these gossip pieces that would be frowned upon if anybody knew who was doing that.
I mean, the queen literally is looking for her. Like in this season too. She's just like, I'm putting out feelers. I'm setting up traps. Because they want to catch her, because she's basically everything Penelope's saying, or Lady Whistledown, is going against like the queen. She's questioning the queen and the crown.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, that's really interesting. And all these moving pieces, they kind of like come together, and it helps move the plot forward. Like stuff that Penelope writes as Lady Whistledown, that also affects like characters like Simon and Daphne, and how that puts the pressure on them to really like get going with their marriage.
Yeah.
Because like you said before, Simon is making it extremely complicated. Like after like a whole season of him going back and forth, this will they, won't they, until finally they have no choice but to do it because somebody saw them kissing out in the field, and then now it's just like, you guys have to marry in front of the queen.
Yeah, or it'll ruin Daphne.
It'll make her like not valuable to society. And, after he does like the whole speech where he admits his true feelings for her, he admits that he's in love. The major hurdle is that he's refusing to have kids with her.
I know exactly how you were going to say that just now.
You say it then.
No.
Let's say there was a lot of pullout involved.
You're going to say because he refuses to nut in her, basically.
Yes.
That's literally like the problem. He tells Daphne, he's like, I'll marry you. He's like, first he doesn't want to marry her because he's just like, I know that I don't want to have kids.
I'm a rake, okay? Once a rake, always a rake.
He knows he doesn't want to have kids, and he knows all Daphne wants is to be in love and to have her own family, have kids.
Yeah.
And he's just like, I don't want to do that to you, because he does love her. He considers her a friend, but he also is in love with her, and he's like, I can't do that to you. But given the situation where Caressa Calpera and her long ass neck saw them in the gardens making out, they have to. Yeah. They have to get married, or she'll be ruined. Whatever. No one would want her. Not even Nigel Burbrook and his nasty ass. So that's the whole thing, is that he tells her, and you have to listen carefully to the words, is that he's just like, I can't have children. She doesn't know how the whole thing works. Yes, on their marriage night, they do consummate the marriage, as they say, but she still is ignorant of the act.
Yeah, and how it works.
And how it really works, to a point where later on, when she does move in, she's the new Duchess. Yeah. She asks her maid, she's just like, tell me how does one have kids? How does the whole thing work? And her maid, who, has been with her for so long, tells her. And then that's where Alvin's favorite scene comes in.
My favorite scene? What's my favorite scene? Tell me.
Where Daphne finds the truth out about how one has kids. And, her and Simon, they're having sex. And all the time he pulls out.
Every time they do it.
She gets on top, and she makes it impossible for him. And then there's the look on his face. He's just like, Daphne, what did you do? No. And then she was just like, you lied about everything. And I was just like, I don't know. I was just like, this, what? I was just like, Daphne, just the look on her face. Like she was just
devious.
Yeah. I was just like,
all right, I want to ask this though. Was she wrong to do what she did in that scene where she sat on top of Simon? She knew that he wanted to pull out, but she stayed on the peen.
But did she know? Because he thought she didn't know. So if he thought she didn't know, then
she knew what she was doing.
She knew what she was doing, but he didn't know that she knew what she was doing. So that's why I'm just like, that's what your ass get. I see both sides to it.
I think it's heavily leaning on date rape kind of.
That's where I'm just like, I feel like that was weird that that was wrong that she did that.
Yeah.
But then also, like she said, you lied in our marriage bread and all that stuff. Like he lied to her about everything. Like I felt like if he would have said like, I don't want to have children. I mean, he did say, I can't lie. The nigga said he wouldn't. He was just like, I don't want kids. And I was just like, okay. He doesn't. Why won't she get that through her head? But then he changes it up to say, I can't have kids.
Mm-hmm.
And then they're married. And I mean, I think people get divorced in those times. I think it's something you do, but obviously they're not going to do that.
It's not very common.
It's not common. So it was just like he lied to her. He took advantage of her ignorance to take away something that he knew she truly wanted. And we have to really simplify this, guys. Like in those times, it's just like, you know, that's like big. That's major. Like you really lied about this and you took away any hope of happiness she would ever have. It's like, it's that dramatic.
The whole point is to continue the lineage of your family.
So like you have to get into like how dramatic it is and like be like, this is like some serious shit.
Mm-hmm.
And then her doing that is just like, why didn't you just talk to him? Like, why didn't you tell him like, hey, I know you need nut or I need nut in order to get this to work. So
Honey
like,
Nut Cheerios.
how do we like, you know,
fix this.
Yeah,
because I think it rubs me too much the wrong way that she did it forcefully that way.
Yeah.
Because if it was the other way around, easily the whole world would be like, obviously it'd be wrong if a man did it the same way. But for her to do that, I get why she was doing it. She was trying to get answers and trying to finally find out the truth of it. But like you said, I think it would have been best if she just straight up confronted him with the new knowledge that she has.
Because she's feeling betrayed when she finds out how it works, and he's feeling betrayed that she did that to him.
Because look what happened after he accidentally bust in her. Like, she had her period afterwards. The baby didn't take.
So that was the baby didn't take.
Or the seed didn't take. The mini Simon didn't take.
Yeah, so, I mean...
I'm not saying that's a direct correlation, but it's almost like, wow, look, this is like a...
I think it was
an omen or like a result of kind of like that forced.
Yeah, it was. I just felt like it was more just like.
I mean, it also just happens.
Yeah, it happens.
It's just something that happens.
It doesn't happen on the first try. Like, so I feel like it was just like they had like this rift in their relationship where they both just didn't trust each other.
Yeah.
And then he was just like, let me know if, you know, if you're having my kid or something like that. And then he's just like,
I'll do my job, I guess.
He's just like, I'll like be a father to it. But like me and you were like done. And I was just like, how y'all married but done? But I was just like, y'all got this big ass house, so y'all be fine. You stay over there. She stay over there.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah. And then like, that was her thing too. It's just like, for her, it was a love match. Then it kind of like, it was like a mess, like her relationship with him.
Mm-hmm.
But I like when Portia Featherington tells Marina Thompson, you know, about how like Marina asks her, she's like, how do you stand this like loveless marriage or a loveless marriage? Because spoiler again, Lady Featherington's husband, he gets killed or whatever because it's gambling, all that stuff. You guys
crosses
probably know
the wrong people.
But you know, she was kind of like, she seemed like a little like, oh damn, he's really not here anymore. And that's when Marina walks in. She's like, how did you like survive a loveless marriage of like over 20 years and stuff?
She said you find things to love,
like your babies and stuff. So that made me also think of like with Daphne's situation with Simon stuff. She's just like, okay, well, he no longer wants anything to do with me because of what I did. But at least I'll have the baby here and I can have the baby to love. And that's where I put all my love and energy into and stuff. So when you said that, you know, she ends up having her period and she's not pregnant, she finds that she's not, that's like, she's sad about that too, because it's just like, wow, this one thing that I was at least going to have out of all this, like this drama, this distrust between me and my husband, you know, that's gone too. So Simon's gone, and like the potential to like at least have like a placeholder, which kind of sucks to say about a baby who's not even there yet, but that's what it was, is gone too. So that was like really, really sad. I felt bad, and he felt bad too, because I felt like
that's always an awful situation.
Yeah, I felt like he's like, I hope she does, but he's also just like, I'm not supposed to because my dead dad. And I was just like,
which at that point, I'm just like, well, even when he first like announces that revenge thing, I'm like, you are childish as fuck.
Yeah.
Like there are valid reasons to not want kids, but because you just want to spite your dead dad, I'm just like, now you're just going too far. You're getting in the way
winning. He's the dead dad's still winning.
He's controlling your ass. Like, the fuck? You're letting that get in the way of you being happy with the woman that you love.
And she even tells him that she's just like, you rather just like throw away all chances of happiness for some revenge or some promise you made to the man who just treated you like shit and
Who's already gone.
Who's gone. She's like, we're here now. Like, you know, why not be happy? Like, it just doesn't make sense. I'm just like,
yeah,
yes.
that part of Simon really pissed me off throughout the whole show. I'm just like, you can't just keep you can't keep doing this shit to yourself, man. Mm-hmm. It's one thing to be spiteful to your dad and just and hate somebody. You could do it the right way, like Kendrick Lamar. You hate somebody the right way and make money off of it that way. But to like shoot down your own like blessings and like your gifts and like the stuff that you have in front of you, like you have someone that you actually love. Like you did not expect to find somebody when you came back home.
He's marrying into a big family. He's
y'all
never
are
had
both
family.
baller ass like households. You probably never go broke again. NBA young boy.
Yeah. You're really just bringing all the little rap and all that stuff in there.
They might as well. I mean, they do pop covers. They do covers of pop songs with symphony music. So they might as well do some like trap music for season 3.
They should. I think that'll make you even more invested in the show.
I like how there's no explanation that they're doing Miley Cyrus songs in
Taylor
balls.
Swift and Alicia Keys and yeah. But yeah, it's like Simon's like he's a real fucking headache. Like with
all the men are really like super. They get in the way of everything.
But I like it. I
mean, it's what causes the drama.
Yeah, it causes the drama. I like that they actually have their own like personalities and like issues.
Yeah, because you got Simon, you have Anthony, who is shooting down all his opportunities for happiness as well. He's just going back and forth with this woman that he keeps sleeping with, but he knows damn well he's not going to marry her because he sees her as a lower class person just because of her profession and the fact that she's hooked up with other people in the past. But it's like,
and then she's not born into a noble family.
She's not a noble. Yeah, she's like I would say she'd be like in the middle class section. She isn't exactly like poor.
She's not. Yeah, she's an opera singer.
Yeah,
and
So and then he just fucks that whole relationship up, and then wants to try to gain her back after she finally finds happiness with some guy that is actually like fine with going out with her in public.
She literally has to like let me go, and I'm just like, because he keeps showing up at her door, and I'm just like, you stupid. I'm just like, can you just like not? It's such a problem. Like it really is, because I felt like his whole thing was just like, he knows that he's the Viscount. He has a responsibility. He has to take care of his family, but he also doesn't want it.
Yeah.
And like, there's things that he wants, but he feels like he has to ignore them because of his title now, like his position that he's been put into. Because if his dad was still alive, like he'd be raking, you know?
Yes.
And so it's just like, I like that there's like that sort of like messiness to him and conflict within him as well too. He's really fucking annoying, so it's like hard to like really like him. Like even in season 2 I still can't stand him.
No,
because he was like basically looking for like a cow to breed basically. Like that.
But he knows he didn't want that. He's like, he knew that he wanted somebody to be happy with, that he loved, but he wanted to refuse that for himself.
Yeah, he wants a love match as well too. And I feel like that, like all the Bridgerton, like not all the Bridgerton kids, but I feel like that's clearly what they're all set up for. That's why they all each have their own fucking book.
Yeah.
Julia Quinn and all these books. But but it's just like, that's what Violet Bridgerton, the mom, wishes for all of them. And that's like what they're going to get. And he's just like, he's fighting it. And it's just like her, Edmund and Violet Bridgerton, they're the example.
Yeah.
They're what is set. And I feel like even if the kids aren't ready, because it doesn't look like Colin was kind of looking for that Marina, but that's a whole nother, drama thing. And she tried to trick him and all that stuff. And I was like, oh, it's messy. But, whenever they're ready for settling down and marrying, they want a love match.
Yeah.
That's what the kids want, because they have their parents as an example. That's what their parents were. They were a love match. Even the younger ones that don't even know Edmund, because, they were so young. I think Hyacinth wasn't born before her dad died and stuff. So, but just hearing about him and seeing like how Anthony talks about him or what, because
the youngest ones ask the older siblings, what was dad like?
Yeah, Gregory. At one point he does, because he was too young. He was like a baby, a toddler probably. So it's just like some of them they don't really remember. But they see how Anthony talks about him or Daphne or whatever, the mom. And they're like, well, I want to have what our parents have too. Yeah. So
does this season get into how the father gets killed by the bee?
I think it's season 2.
It's season 2.
Yeah, okay. It's season 2 that it
Interesting that they didn't bring it up at all in season 1. I feel like that should have been dropped somewhere, even just mentioned.
Yeah, they don't.
Because when I'm not gonna lie, when I first found out when you were watching season 2, I busted out laughing.
So rude, Alvin.
I know, but I get it. There's people that are deathly allergic to bee stings. That is a serious thing.
And during those times, not.
I don't know why I thought he'd be dead because of like war or like some gunshot or something. Maybe he got mugged or something, but I don't know. Bees are deadly too, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was just like, wait, what? A
A
bee?
bee? Yeah. So, but I totally get the pressure that's on people like Anthony because, man, I would not want to be fucking born during that time where I my job, if I was the eldest sibling, to have to find somebody to marry and continue lineage and have to manage the house and all that shit. I'm just like, what the fuck? I want to try going to school. I just want to go like hang out with friends, rake, I don't know, here and there, rake someone's lawn. And it's just like, I get why he ended up so complicated and messy.
Because at a young age too, he was still pretty young. I feel like maybe like the pressure was probably always there. But if he was able to like,
but once his dad died, it really laid on him.
Because like his mom, he had to decide. His mom, when she was pregnant with Hyacinth, she was in labor. And the doctor was just like, yeah,
we gotta save one or
the other and stuff. But he's like, we can save both of them, but like it's your choice. Like you could just pick one. And
the mom protests.
Yeah, she's just like, no, it's not. She's like, it's Edmund's choice, and we're just like, Edmund's dead, lady. But
they captured her grief really well. Yes. She was irrational, but you get why she's fucking irrational.
Oh, so we're going into season 2, but yeah,
sorry.
I know, but it's important because then like
it has context.
It has context to Anthony and why he's the way he is in season 1 and stuff.
It don't excuse it, but it explains it.
It explains it, yeah. So that's why, like I said, I like that even the male characters are conflicted and messy.
Yeah.
For whoever they're matching up with as well too. So
yeah, they tend to be the most messy, and and it tends to be the women in the relationship that have to be the ones to sort of get the ball rolling on like reducing the conflict. At least that's what I noticed specifically with Simon and Daphne. She has to keep penetrating his defenses. I don't think I've ever once seen Simon really try to like sit down and reflect and in how fucked up he's been in the relationship. I feel like shit has had to hit the fan for Daphne to finally just like come out and just say what's on her mind. For then Simon to finally sit with the truth of everything and then start correcting his behavior.
Yeah.
That's like a pattern that I've seen with that. We've seen that fail with Portia and Archibald, where she's trying to get his shit together, and he just keeps going on this gambling addiction to the point where it literally kills him.
Killed, yeah.
And then she's ending up picking up the pieces, where she's now in debt and in the head of the household.
Or she's waiting for the new head of the household to show up because like she's the woman. Yeah. So it doesn't matter. There's going to be someone new that comes in, and they could either keep her and her girls around, or they could put them out. And that's like another like scary thing for women as well too. Then it's just like, does she remarry? Can she remarry? Does anybody want an old Portia? Like
an old Portia.
So yeah, that's like major that you do say that.
They just do so much emotional labor. And
that's like literally like all the women are there for. It's just like labor, whether it's like to actually push out these old men's babies or like, you know, just really keep things together.
Yeah.
I mean, even with earlier when Daphne was like, shit, she has to marry Nigel because Anthony's dumbass promised her to him. And then she's like, Mom, like everyone knows this guy is gross.
Yeah, everyone's against it.
So her mom is just like, we'll figure something out. So she's like, we'll do what women do best. We'll talk. And so they come to find out Nigel had like some maid who's like knocked up with his baby and living in the countryside, and he doesn't even like pay them any mind and stuff. So that way, when Anthony finally found out, like, oh shoot,
he's
Nigel
no longer an
is
option.
Not an option, and he's, you know. Then he's like, okay, fine. Like, you don't have to. I'm just like, really? Like, it took this? And then, you know, but it just goes to show that he doesn't know as much as he thinks he does, and he's not always making the right choices.
Yeah.
And he should listen to his mom, whether she's the house, the head of the household or not, which she's not technically. He takes care of her.
Right.
But that's your mother.
Right.
And she knows
she's
things.
more
She's older. She's experienced. She knows things. And she's trying to tell you that, and you keep shutting her down.
Yeah.
So she also is looking out for the family.
Exactly.
She may not be the one in charge and have the final say per se, but she makes things happen as well too. Yeah. And he was finally able to like, okay, I can see that, acknowledge it, and back off. Yeah. So.
Yeah. But I mean, he still has that mean streak of tunnel vision, but he at least understands where he messed up. He'll accept it, but that doesn't mean that he corrects his behavior right away, because that shit leads into season 2 for his own personal life too, which we'll get into next episode. I wanted to talk about Penelope real quick, because I wanted to ask you this: is she a supervillain in this world? I think she's a supervillain.
I don't know. Sometimes I feel like she's like...
Because when I was watching this with you, I was like, oh, she's a sweet, like, just little dumpling that's, like, very bright and just very warm and sweet to people. But then as soon as you find out her fucking double life as fucking this evil Scrivener, fucking Lady Whistledown, I'm just like, wow, you're actively kind of ruining people's lives.
Yeah.
Like, you're even hurting the Bridgertons, who are your best friends.
Yeah.
At some point. And it's just like... damn, like, and then when the whole thing with like Colin falling for Marina and how she's like bitter about that shit and she wants to get in the way of that, like,
I can understand her getting in the way with it because Marina was pregnant and she was trying to trap him.
Yeah, but like her intent wasn't purely for that. It was also like she mainly was just like, I want Colin for myself, and this is a good opportunity that just sprung itself. Yeah,
she's kind of like some like weird creeper behind like some keyboards like on the internet or something like that, like. She's like a Dan Humphrey.
She's on Reddit.
Like even like, yeah, she's Dan Humphrey basically. And she's just like orchestrating this whole entire like relationships or gossip and stuff just so she could get the boy, and like Dan Humphrey, he could get the girl and stuff. Like I have to implant myself into your society and your world and all that stuff like that.
Yeah.
It's weird. Like when I found that, I was just like, Penelope? I was like, what?
You're right.
That's weird, but I
of
guess
all people, this sweet little young looking girl.
But then she's like the wallflower, and she's like off to the side because like I think it was like in season 2 when she was talking with Eloise and stuff, and Eloise was just like, that sounds familiar. The way Penelope's like, oh, look at that, and guess what?
The way that she talks compared to the writing.
And I was just like, wow. I was just like, I really don't know how I feel about Penelope anymore. Like going into season 2, it only got worse.
Yes.
But when I found out in season 1, I was just like,
she's very morally questionable.
Yeah. At first, I was just like, I wonder why she like really does it. And then we get into it more like in the later seasons, and I guess we're definitely going to see what goes on in season 3.
Yeah.
I was like, I don't know. It was just very odd to me. I was like, how is she and why is she? And you know. She, I don't know. I want to say she's the villain, but I just feel kind of like icked out by what drives her to do this. And then... yeah,
because it's essentially like an incel dude.
That's what I was saying. I thought that's how I feel about her.
That's
I feel
the
like
vibes I got.
Yes, that is the vibes that I got for Penelope. And I was just like, oh, I don't know. Because I'm just like, what if Colin did marry Marina? Or what if he married someone else overseas when he was away? Yeah, he was ready to do it. And it's just like, I get it. He sees you as like a little sister, like Eloise or whatever. He's like your pen and as your friend, but she never says more. And I know like that can be difficult to do.
Especially since it's not really custom for women to approach men in this era. You don't just go up and be like, I don't like, or be like, I like you.
Yeah, and he's just not seeing it. He just doesn't see her as anything other than Pen.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, like his friend, like a little sister. He doesn't see her that way. So it's just like, how does she make him not see her that way? Especially when, like in season 3, from what we've been seeing from like, you know, the teasers and trailers and stills and stuff, she wants to try something new. And I don't know how she's able to like, not have her mom put her in those ugly ass dresses. I mean, the dresses aren't ugly; they're pretty. They just don't really match her, and aren't a good look for her. But you know, there's things that she tries, like the way she dresses, maybe the way she does her hair. I mean, people have really gotten like into like, oh yes, the style of this hair means this specific thing, and blah blah blah, and tying your hair up or having the curls, and like literally, there are people just like, this is what those curls meant during those times. I'm just like, what the fuck? I was like, this is a lot. Just put on a fucking dress and go.
Yeah,
you know. So she's doing things for him to notice her. But like, what is it? Was it season 2 where he's just like, or season 1 where he's like, I'd never like think of courting Penelope.
That was season 2.
That was season 2.
Yeah.
That just made that was when her villain arc like really started. I thought,
yeah. What was happening during that time, and then that at the end, that's when it finally popped off.
It popped off, but I was just like, I felt like there's things that maybe she could have done to like get his attention that she didn't. So she just kept doing the writing, and I was just like, oh, this is not.
Yeah.
This
But I mean, it's hard because she's characterized in a way where she still looks kind of infantile. Like I don't know the best way to describe it, but she doesn't look quite of age for like courtship. The way
Yeah.
that she's dressed up, she's like very like covered up. And it doesn't help the fact that she is a fat girl. So like fat women are not seen as beautiful and attractive during this time.
Yeah.
So it isn't until we see season 3 where she looks more of an older person
Yeah.
who's more like
A
figured as a
mature
woman.
Yeah.
Yeah. Whereas right here, she looks like a cute porcelain doll. And the mother keeps her that way, but still is like trying to marry off the daughters.
Yeah, she's trying to marry all of them off. She's
Yeah.
like, oh, all I have is girls.
Which I get, that's a restriction for her, and that's a valid reason to be like frustrated. Like, shit, I can't attract somebody if I don't look attractive to somebody. If I'm not societally accepted as like a beauty standard.
Yeah.
That I get, but like the stuff that she does is like Lady Whistledown, where like she be tearing down like other people, especially people that she's close with. And it's a way to like kind of keep the trail off of her with the queen like trying to like
if she's
find her.
too nice to certain people, they'll be able to figure out who it is.
Yeah,
quicker.
exactly. So she built her own trap.
Yeah.
So at this point, it's really about she'll do the meanest shit if it means keeping people off of her trail. At this point. So and I'll be fascinated to see how that pans out. Like now that we've watched season 2 and then season 3 is like it's her time to like be the star of the series basically.
I know. I'm like waiting for the mirror scene. They keep talking about the mirror scene with her and Colin. Just like, oh shit.
They need to clap cheeks in season 3.
That's what they're gonna do in the mirror. That's
she need to go from Lady Whistledown to Lady Busted Down.
Oh my god, you were waiting for that one, weren't you?
I was gonna save it for the season 3 episode. I couldn't wait. I predict she'll evolve into Lady Busted Down.
Okay. No more Bridgerton for you. You're done. You're done.
Oh man. Yeah. But yeah, though this was a very interesting series. I did like the dynamic with Simon and Daphne. I keep wanting to say Penelope. I don't know why. Simon and Daphne. I thought they were like the most interesting main story compared to season 1 and 2. And I saw most of Queen Charlotte with you, I think.
And compared to Queen Charlotte in season 2, Bridgerton.
Yeah. I think Simon and Daphne's is the most interesting.
Yeah.
And also just because I think they're the most charismatic couple. When we get into season 2, I'm gonna rant a lot about how Anthony and Kate were just like, they were super frustrating. I'm just like, y'all should not be around each other.
Yeah.
But they were like the most charismatic characters, and I think that's the selling point of the show. Otherwise, it just wouldn't work. Like it makes you want them to be together, even though they can be freaking annoying sometimes. But yeah, I thought the world building is very interesting. I think I really liked season 1 over season 2, though. Season 2 is still entertaining, and we'll get into that for that episode. Were there any other moments or points that you wanted to bring up before we close out?
No, I don't think so. I mean, there's a lot.
There's so much. We would be here for 2 hours to like really pull apart the different plot threads.
And then no need to do that. We just want to recap and talk about our excitement for the season 3 to come and let you guys know that we have in fact watched the Bridgerton episodes and seasons. Because obviously we never talked about Bridgerton before. And I just really think it's a good show, a good adaptation.
Yeah, I mean, based on what you said, I would have no interest in the books whatsoever.
Yeah, no, I would
blander.
never. I'll force you to read other things.
I'm perfectly fine with fictional people of color that are fictionally non-racist.
Yeah, no, there's like, it's just like all white people in the book, so it's just like not even a thought, really. Kate's like actually not even Kate Sharma. She's like
Kate Winslet.
Whatever. Yeah, sure. So yeah, it's like, I really like what they did with the adaptation. I think the show's really good. Like I said, there's too much to, like, there's so much. You got, Penelope, Lady Whistledown, Lady Danbury's story.
Yeah, there's so much.
Marina, Colin, all this stuff. There's so much going on in the show, which I like. I mean, obviously with the books, the first book, they just kept it on Simon and Daphne. Like strictly them. It didn't really veer off any other way. You have like the Lady Whistledown like pieces at the start of every chapter, but it's not like no one's like looking for her the way they do it. We don't talk about Eloise, you know, and her looking for who Lady Whistledown is. Like she's like barely in the first one. So I like that they were able to like give us like, what is it, like 10 episodes where they can like really just like open up these characters and have like their own little plots on the side without it feeling like, oh shit, I forgot about that. You know how some shows do that?
No, they did a good job tying all the plots together.
Yeah. And I like that. And then like Simon and Daphne, their like story kind of like wraps up in a nice, perfect little bow at the end of the season. You know, Simon's not in season 2, but Daphne does show up a couple times. But you're not like, oh, what are they doing? Where are they? What's going on and stuff like. They don't do it that way. We can like nicely transition into the next Bridgerton love story and what's going on. So, I love this show.
So, what would you rate it?
The most.
You given season 1 the most potato.
Well, I'm not giving season 2 it, so yeah, I'm giving season 1 the most potato.
Interesting.
Yes, I really like. If we're just talking Bridgerton shit, like it's the best season so far.
Yeah,
I'll put Queen Charlotte in because it's in the Bridgerton universe. I'll put that. Like if I'm rating like them so far, it's season 1. Queen Charlotte, and then season 2 of Bridgerton. That's how it is so far, and I can't wait to see what season 3 is going to do, and that's going to shift things around for me probably. Mad that it's in 2 parts. That's stupid.
Don't even get me started.
Get it together, streaming services and world and everything, you dumb bitches. Yes, so I give it the most potato just because after reading it, reading the book, it made me really appreciate the show even more. Really
nice. Did. Okay.
I don't know. I feel like I shouldn't ask you what you're going to rate it, but what are you going to rate it,
I'm
sir?
supposed to rate this. I watched this with you. It's the most potato.
Well, anything you say, if I don't agree with it, then...
It's a baked potato. It's a strong baked potato for me. Yes. Yeah. It's fine. It's baked potato. Stop looking at me like that.
2 most potatoes, guys.
No.
You should watch Bridgerton season 1. Watch all the seasons.
It's a strong baked potato.
I can't hear you. I think your mic is off. Yeah. Why do you say this preposterous?
It's not preposterous. I enjoyed it, but I didn't love it.
Well, I just feel like it's not like.
It's also not my demographic
either.
That's what I was gonna. And that's what I struggle with. And it's not like I'm not against love stories. It's just like it's very hard for me to like really like not to be like pun intended, but like fall in love with a love story.
You didn't burn for it?
I did not.
Wow.
I think there was just like
not
too
even
many.
When you saw Simon Cheeks?
No.
Okay.
I don't know. I guess I wish it was more authentic with like the race relations, because again, it's only a couple of decades with this experiment. I wish they kind of fleshed that out more, kind of like sort of confronted that a little more and not just be like, yeah, we're mostly non-racist. I just thought it was like too distracting.
Really?
It was. For me, it was.
I know. For you, it was.
Especially with like all the Marina stuff, like the interaction with her and Portia. I'm just like, Portia, you are racist as fuck. It's not just because she's pregnant. You are fucking racist. And I know it.
Okay.
Yes. But I mean, I still enjoyed it. I thoroughly enjoyed the series. It's not like a weak baked potato. It's like bordering on loaded potato.
It is loaded though. If you would have gave it a loaded potato,
well,
I would have.
Simon and Daphne are loaded. Yeah.
Well, she was loaded that one time.
Yes. Yeah. So I'm giving it a strong baked potato. So it was a very enjoyable series. It's not like my demographic that it's targeting, but the fact that I'm able to sit through it and, you know, actually think about what I'm watching and enjoy it, I give it a lot of credit.
Okay.
Yeah. So, I mean, I feel like I'm going to rate season 2 lower because, and we'll get to that in the next episode, but that was a much more frustrating watch for me.
Yeah.
And it's mostly because of Anthony.
Yeah.
I hate that man so much. But yeah, that's my rating.
Okay.
So I guess it'll average out to most potato because most potato is a strong grade. Yeah.
Whatever.
So yeah, I guess that's all our thoughts on season 1 of Bridgerton. Mm-hmm. So guys, let us know in the comments, in the polls and questions. Let us know your thoughts on season 1. Did you enjoy it as much as we did? Did you hate it? Did you love it? Did you write fan fiction about it? If so, tell me where to find it.
Yes. Is it smutty? Let me know.
Yeah, exactly. And stay tuned for our episode 2 or a season 2 review for the Bridgerton Saga series review in our preparation for season 3. Yeah. We'll also talk about season 3 once it concludes part 1. It's fucking annoying, but we'll do that.
Yeah, we'll do 2-part episodes because then I won't want to wait to like talk about it.
At the end of June.
We'll talk to you guys about it at the end of June. No, we're not going to do that. We will talk to you at the end of part 1. I feel like I really hope that part 1 ends like kind of cliffhangery, like
something narratively fulfilling, I guess.
Like when we're watching like regular TV and they're just like, we're going on a 3-week break, guys, and then will they, won't they, in the next 3 weeks? Like I needed to do that. Don't just like stop and just be like, we're stopping just to stop. Yeah. You know? I hope it doesn't do that. And but we will definitely talk about it, part 1 and then part 2. And
so stay tuned for all that good stuff, guys. And we'll definitely be doing movies as well. So stay tuned for that as well. So thank you guys so much for listening. We love you guys so much as always. Thanks for tuning in. Like us and follow us wherever you're listening from. And make sure to hit the notification bell so that you don't miss out on some good stuff. All right, guys. Thank you for joining once again. And we'll see you guys on the next one. Peace.